This is the Messiah Hour with Ari Lewis.
Welcome, everybody, to the Messiah Hour here on Israel Sports and News Radio. Thank you for joining us. At any time, you can email the program at messiahhour@gmail.com, or you can email the station Israel Sports and News Radio at gmail.com. What a fascinating article that's brought a lot of traction and a lot of emotion. Leading rabbi, of course, one of the biggest rabbis in the world, arguably the biggest, Rabbi Chaim Kamenetsky, says the Mashiach is imminent. Of course, people dispute if he actually said that or not. To talk about if that is possible is our favorite rabbi from Tzfat, the co-author of the book The World of the Ger, Rabbi David Katz. Rabbi, how you doing out there?
Hey, Ari, thanks for having me back as always. Isn't it great to have also one of the great leading rabbis of the generation answer what the comments were of a fellow great leading rabbi?
There you go, right. I mean, this rabbi has like 70-plus years on you, but still, you guys are close to the same ballpark. Now,
I have 3 listeners out there.
There you go.
I'm getting places, Ari.
There you go. Actually, no, this show has a lot more than 3 listeners, and we know a lot of people are very excited to listen. We're going to do something very special. Basically, I'll just be honest. I posted the story on Facebook. We got 20-something comments. I'm going to go through each of the comments, and the rabbi's going to respond. So it's very interactive, this program. We're very excited. So first, let's get the base of the story. This rabbi, it's apparently told his followers that Mashiach is coming on September 12th because that is the end of this year's a Shemitah year. It's the end of the Shemitah year. First of all, there are sources about Mashiach coming at the end of a Shemitah year, correct?
Yep.
Okay, can you tell us a bit about, I mean, there are a lot of sources that he comes every generation, he comes Simchas Torah, etc. Is it more special for him to come after a Shemitah year?
It can be. Do you mind if I give a bit of background on where this comment's coming from, this article's coming from?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. This needs to be told, a little bit of a story, because I'm actually indigenous to this story, okay? Let's go back. Let's turn back the clock to about 2004 and 2005, okay? The internet was practically new. I know it came out in the late 90s, but I would say by the mid-2000s, it's becoming standard in people's homes. The technology to spread information is growing. You may have Skype already. You may be on Facebook already or left MySpace, right? You can rationalize where I'm coming from, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And rabbis are getting involved now. Okay, I think I started teaching online in 2007. So that there were online yeshivas popping up. In fact, the first job that I ever had was teaching at the virtual yeshiva, which was a really great platform. And it was YouTube was new. I mean, we're just hearing about YouTube for the first time, so you can imagine the headspace. I think one of the first, I don't know, blog. It was a blog. I don't know if I'd call it a blog like today. It was a rabbi talking to the world. That would have been Rabbi Lazer Brody. He had his laser beams back then, and he was much different than he is today. There was no Rabbi Arush back then. Rabbi Arush was becoming Rabbi Arush. So it was a different world, and there was a famous. I'm going to tie in the Zohar stuff and prophecies in this kind of little introduction. There's a famous Zohar that the Messiah will come in the year that ends in 66. Now, if you think back, the Lebanon War that I fled from my house, I actually saw missiles come over my head, not too high over my head. And one landed next to the yeshiva and blew out our windows. So that was in 2006, a.k.a. a year ending in 66 in the Jewish calendar. And we fled, and we were checking the news every day on Debka, and in Jerusalem we were living. The whole yeshiva was living. I forget the name of the yeshiva where we were staying by, but it was big deal. It was a big deal. We all thought maybe this was it, and we were asking our rebbeim, and the rebbeim were saying that it may or may not be the end, but it's not a far stretch of the imagination to say it is the end. You have your Yaakov, you have your Yishmael, you have your Esav, and all the players were there. And I didn't feel that way with the second Iraq War when that burst out in 2003 or 4, whatever it was. We weren't really afraid. We didn't really see any action here, and it didn't really matter. And the Intifada was long over by then, so this was the first real shakeup to our just shock to our system. And with Lazer Brody's show, I remember being in the Ezras Nashim in the yeshiva where we were having our daily class. And a friend of mine came in saying, I heard on Laser Brody on laser beams. And I didn't know what that even was. I was a yeshiva guy. I hadn't seen the light of day of society in a long time. I was just learning every day and Sfat tucked away. So I didn't know what any of this was. But there was this rabbi saying that Mashiach can come, da-da-da-da. And as the next couple of years rolled off, another big website popped up called Dreaming of Mashiach. And I had this chavrusa in yeshiva, and he was always saying, this Dreaming of Mashiach website. Now remember, I didn't know what a blog is. Kind of a weird thing back then. All right, is it a website? What is it really? We didn't know. I mean, this is all brand new stuff. And I looked at it, and it was like Torah, but like a woman was doing the blog, and it was not like real sources, like a Torah-looking page, and quoting, an eclectic view of like Baal Shem Tov and Sfardi Mekubalim. It was strange. And Tzaddik Nister. I didn't know what it was. Being in yeshiva so long, I had no clue really what it was. And they were saying that people write in about their dreams of Mashiach and all kind of weird stuff. I thought it was weird. And so at that time, then there was Mashiach and Geula forum, and everyone was writing. And there appeared to be an online community. That's what it seemed like. Some kind of these people have handles, and there was people looking for Mashiach. And it was it got real hot around the Beijing Olympics. And if you remember back then, Obama was running for president. And you had this team of Gematria scholars, really great guys. They were called themselves Redemption 5768. They were really cool guys. Now, back then, again, I was in yeshiva still. I wasn't really out doing my thing. So I was also listening to these opinions, and I had my point of view. And the irony was we were all in yeshiva, and in yeshiva, internet doesn't really dominate your life. But so we were coming in, and they had the tsunami, and I think it was in 2004 or 6. I forget what it was. And Rav Kadori was around back then. You remember all the things that he was saying, right? The Sharon, huh?
Right after Ariel Sharon.
Sharon's governments, the last government,
right.
So the Messiah. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, all this stuff about the Messianics taking the words of Rav Kadori's infamous letter that the name of the Messiah was announced and saying it was Yehoshua, that is a true statement. Now, obviously, he did not mean Yeshu. He meant the biblical name Joshua. And I remember everyone in the real ultra-Orthodox, his camp community, were saying before he died, he sealed a letter with this mystical code. They opened it up, and there are forums online in Hebrew. You can see Rav Kadori said this. So the Messianics went and said, Yeshu, his name was Joshua, which it isn't. They stole it, and ever since then, his camp rejected such things. That's not true. It was an authentic letter, and everyone was talking about it, along with the enchanted watches from, I think, the Baba Sali and Rav Eliyahu of Sfat. He has the watches. That apparently at midnight, Mashiach comes, and it's like some kind of messed up watch. All this stuff was the soup du jour in the late 2000s. All right, everybody was into it. Rav David Avokatsera, he was standing. He used to sit and greet people. Now he's standing because the Baba Sali came to him in a dream and said the Mashiach's going to come to you. I actually went and got a bracha from him because my daughter was sick. We drove to Nariya, or where is he? Nariya, I think. We drove to him. I got a bracha, and he was standing. And I asked him, and he said it was true. He confirmed it. So a lot of this was going on. Rav Kook in Tiberias was coming out with statements about Mashiach is imminent. Everybody that was in the Kabbalah was saying this. And you had a lot of blogs. Today, most of these blogs are still in existence. From Yaron and Yaakov.blogspot to Shirat Devora, who ended up becoming a friend and posting my material later on. There was just an entire community, and it's kind of defunct today. Like Dreaming of Mashiach isn't around, and Laser Brody now is a proper rabbi with proper classes, not just giving a news report about Mashiach. But there was, by I would say about 2010, 2011, there was a massive online community. and the names were familiar, leaving comments on all the blogs, and you saw these people. Now, I got to become familiar with a lot of them because I actually entered that community when I started. For those of you listening that remember me from back then, 2011, the original Soul Mazel blog was not a total Mashiach blog, but it was like Ari Lewis Messiah Hour thing. I did more than just that, but that was like my flavor. I was documenting, Amalek in the news, Gog v'Magog in the news, Torah themes in the news, and then all end days, all the more so. In fact, Ari, that's how I met you, I think, in the beginning, was that kind of stuff.
All right, well, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is our foundation. Let's go to the comments now, and we're going to try to answer as many comments as we possibly can. Gabby from Jerusalem said, she said this sarcastically, I didn't realize there was a human who we know has a direct telephone to the beyond. So her point being, Rabbi Kamenetsky or any of the big rabbis, how do they know what's going on? How do they have that type of connection? Is that possible?
Let me just give one more quick little background before then I'm going to go into that answer, okay?
Sure.
All right, so amongst all the Mekubalim and rabbis of that time, you had the mainstream rabbis to the fringe. The whole gauntlet. People were really convinced around the time of Obama there was going to be a Gula. Okay, they really thought it. And then it just stopped. I mean, I think the Mayan calendar 2012 really killed things because that was all fluff, and it just, okay, enough of Messiah, we're done. And blogs actually shut down. Now, Rav Kanievsky, he is probably the oldest living Gadol, or maybe people technically older. His father was a really great living giant. That's the Steipler Gaon. Anybody that knows Talmudics knows the Steipler is a real deal guy. And I don't know if anybody living has that kind of legacy in their family. Okay, so Rav Kanievsky is the scion, so to speak, of this legacy of learning. Bnei Brak, the highest Harvard caliber scholastic in Talmudics. So he's always been around, but he has been hesitant to take the mantle of the leading Gadol, even though he could be if he wanted it very easily. He is that recognizable. He is the guy. He is the guy. With that said, and him saying what he's saying, that Mashiach is imminent, and after the 7th year of Shemitah, and the comment now to bring it into full focus. Now we have, the precedent of the online and the people and the rabbis, the Messiah, and here we go again with the prophecies in the air of Iran and Israel, and we're happen to be in a Shemitah year. So now even more prophecies are on the horizon. Here's Rav Kanievsky saying, quoting verbatim at the end of the 7th year, expect Messiah. Here he is saying it's this Shemitah, it's this year, it's this Messiah. The question you ask is, who is he to have a pipeline to Hashem, correct?
That's Gabby's question for Jerusalem. She wants to know, how could him or anybody have this pipeline?
He doesn't, and chances are it won't happen. And it's false, and it's a total misinformation. The answer why I say that is Messiah doesn't happen with a light switch going on. Right? A lot of people don't take Mashiach eschatology serious. It's usually a chizik for the people. Maybe there will be a cosmic shift, an epoch change. If you nuke Iran, that would be an epoch change. If you brought down the mosque, that would be an epoch change. But it doesn't have to be an epoch change, and most likely won't. If it is, then it's either a chesed from God or we're in trouble. Because if we do, let's say, nuke Iran, we're going to get a lot of missiles on us. So he's not wrong. I just don't think it's totally right. But the liberty that he took to do it is he's playing it very safe. The Talmud says that in the 7th year, Shemitah, after that you should expect the Messiah. But that's out of context. It follows a 7-year setup. If you follow it in the Talmud Sanhedrin, they'll say, in the first year, blah, blah, blah. I forget the exact details. But there's 6 other details, 6 consecutive years. The Torah is forgotten, rains on one city, not another, plenty is gone. These kind of, a build-up of a scenario. And then the 6th year, I think, voices, and the 7th year, wars. And after the 7th year, expect Ben David. And the Talmud says, well, why would you expect it, 1 year? Were there wars last year? Were there voices the year before? Now, you can answer anything you want. Ari, were there voices in 1982?
Voices?
Yeah, a year of voices.
I don't know. I wasn't born then.
I'm sure. Well, of course there was. Go on to Wikipedia, type in what happened in the news in 1982, and you'll see, making this up, right? You'll see that Libya fought Egypt in the Arab Conference, ULCR conferences in Iraq, right? And the news reported that many voices were peculiar surrounding Israel. And they'll say, you see, there were voices. And the next year, there was a conflict on the border of Lebanon. Mashiach would have come. So you can make it however you want. You can find a war in every year. You can find voices in every year. There's been a seventh year for, every 7 years. I mean, I've been through already, this is my third Shemitah being in Israel. So you're in safe ground, but it's almost like a double talk. You know what I mean? You can get away by saying it fits. Just like we were saying to our rabbi in 2006, could it be this is the end? And he was saying, well, you can say it because the players are there. You have your Iran, you have your Ishmael, you have your Yaakov. Was it Mashiach? No. Were people promising this in 2006? Yeah. Did the Zohar say it's apparently? Yeah. What's the difference? We're in the end right now. It's a time period. If you read it carefully, you'll see we're in the time period. You have to know where to look to see the time period happening. So who's he to say it? He took one part of a quote out of context, and his students put it up on the internet community of Gula watchers. Mustama, nothing is going to happen. There's no, it's not even relevant. Is he a pipeline to heaven to say it? He quoted something. People get excited. There's a lot of Amaratzis in the world right now. Let's judge favorably. God willing, we'll see something. We have reason to hope at the end of the year because the 60 days of Congress, I think, actually ends right on Rosh Hashanah. So God willing, it will be an epoch change. Do I think it will? No. Do I think he's wrong for doing it? No. Do I think people should be a little more mature in reading the scholarship? Yeah. Can I change that? No. What can you do?
Well, we can try to change it in the show. Again, this is the Messiah Hour here on Israel Sports News Radio. My guest is Rabbi David Katz, co-author of the book, The World of the Ger. I get more comments just going from my Facebook wall. Jacob was basically saying what you were saying, that the rabbi's words were distorted. And then there was an interesting conversation between him and Adam Berkowitz talking about the rabbi's reputation. Because let's say Mashiach doesn't come at the end of the Shemitah year. Does it hurt the rabbi's reputation? And then there's the argument of the Chofetz Chaim. He was anticipating Mashiach every day. Point, he had a suit set up for him. He was ready all the time, and then that didn't distort Chofetz Chaim's reputation. So let's talk about the reputation of Rabbi Kamenetsky. Is that going to go down if Mashiach doesn't come, even if he was misquoted?
Yiddishkeit is so lost, it doesn't matter. Nobody cares about anything. When the Lubavitcher Rebbe put tefillin on Fry Yidden, they said, "Oh my Lord, how can you do that? You're putting tefillin on shkatzim. We're gonna, put you in cherem." Today, you can claim to be the Mashiach, and they'll say, "Okay, he has his opinion. Let him go." You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Nobody cares. It's all internet. It's all blah, 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 blah. He said no. Nobody takes any. That's the problem. Nobody takes anything seriously. If God forbid that there was the Messiah coming looking to be serious, nobody would even take it serious.
But to say, does it hurt? Let's say people's emunah, if they think, "Wow, he's really coming," and then he doesn't come.
That's what people want to say. People ask me all the time. I have good friends on Facebook, and if you're listening to this, you know exactly who you are, popping up on my messenger all the time, asking me about these things. So, and I tell my friend the truth, and she says, "Okay, that's it. I have no faith." And I know she's joking, but half joking. But the point is, I don't know. People are so tired of living on the edge with Mashiach. It's like this is why the blogs all went down. We've been living on the edge of Mashiach literally since 9/11, okay? Since 9/11, it's like any moment he can come, so to speak. And we're tired of it. And now it's like in Sfat, which used to be a Mashiach town, you meet someone on the street, what's the news? What's the news? What's going on? What's with this guy in Iran saying stuff? But we've been living with Iranian threat for so long. They're going to wipe us off the map. And Ariel Sharon government, and Netanyahu's still hanging on, because Netanyahu received it from Livni from Olmert from Sharon. I mean, it's nuts. This has been a tidal wave since at least 2005 of any, the Ishtalkut of Gush Katif, and we thought that was, it's like we're in the time period and major shifts are happening and people's faith is not so much gone, but they're tired of it. We've been hearing for at least 10 years every day it's imminent. And people don't have the scholarship to know what that means and to hold on. So I don't know if it's damaging their faith. I think they're just tired of it. And this is another thing that I think they want to get excited, but they just can't. By the time 2012 rolled around, no one cared. It's like, okay, it's not happening. We know that. In 2011 killed 2012. There was the whole thing about Lenin the comet and, the hydrogen collider. That's when I started blogging. And all these things were really huge news. And they brought in the Hopi comet prophecy. And that's when everyone started becoming called quacks for believing in all these little pseudo prophecies. So by the time 2012 came, no one bought it, no one believed it, and no one was expecting some kind of glorious end. And all the more so after 2012, no one cares. They just want it. They just want the end. And the comments of Rav Kanievsky really goes in one ear and out the other because it's beating a dead horse. We've already been there.
Again, this is the Messiah Hour here on Israel Sports News Radio. If you want to make a financial donation to the program, you can do so through my PayPal account, which is IsraelSportsRadio@yahoo.com. Again, IsraelSportsRadio@yahoo.com. We're talking about people not really taking it seriously. That was something that Sarah Eshel brought up. He said he's lived in Israel 21 years. It's happened at least 8 times. And then Adam Berkowitz commented, first he made a joke. Mashiach came 8 times. And then he said, does it really do so much harm? Let's say it motivates people to be nicer. They think, well, the end is coming. I better get my act together. If I owe this guy $50, I should probably pay him before Mashiach comes. If I embarrass this guy, I should probably apologize. What about the positive aspect of thinking the end is near and people step up their game and they get things done?
I wish that was true. It's not true. Because there's just not enough infrastructure to make it true. I wish it was a Hollywood ending where the president addressed us all and said, everybody, you have 48 hours to get your act together and improve as a civilization.
Because that was in the movie 2012 where Dan Glover's president, and they said, why are you going to tell everyone the world's going to end? He's like, because. So they'll have a last moment with their family, a last moment do this, last moment do that. But that's a movie. That's not real life.
That's it. And I wish it were going to be some kind of magical moment. We're all going to sing Kumbaya by a fire, even toast marshmallows, and tell our fellow neighbor how much we love them. Not happening. It's just not. It's just too Hollywood. It's not going to happen. And all these feel-good stories, there literally is no future drawn for what's to come. So the predictions are also useless for that reason. Let's say it's right. Okay? Let's just say I believe in what he said. After Rosh Hashanah, there's going to be a change, okay? I don't believe this in this way. Let's pretend I do. What do I do now? Tisha B'Av is coming up soon. I'll tell you the big first question I'm going to ask you. Do I fast this Tisha B'Av? I believe with Emunah Shlema that on Rosh Hashanah, the heavens will open and trumpets will blow, and I will see the revelation of Mashiach coming. By the way, it's a Christian concept, okay? But Jews believe that. That's another sick part of this. Right? Some kind of second coming view, which is not Jewish at all. But, let's say we succumb to that. Now, I believe it's going to happen Rosh Hashanah. Here's Tisha B'Av coming. Do I fast? Do I care? Am I sad? There's nothing to do. It's all, frankly, it's Christian concepts of Messiah. That's why there's no grounds to it, no traction, no mamshis. It's fake, it's fantasy. I'm not saying the source is fantasy. Okay, the sources are true, but they must be taken in context. It's not meant to be a viral Facebook phenomenon. It's like, hey, did you get the meme about Mashiach? It's not going to be like that. But don't blame the Talmud and the Midrash and the sources of the sages. That is the truth. But it's our job to connect to it and apply the wisdom. Without wisdom, there's no point in even discussing it. Everything we see is a wisdom. Look, the Mayan calendar was true, okay? But they took it as a non-wisdom thing. What it was a revolution astrologically, and it's a new epoch. What that new epoch is, what is it? I don't know. The 50,000th rotation of the moon around the Earth. I don't know. But to say that the comets are going to fall out of the sky and blow up a bridge, why would you think the end of the world like that? You know, there's no grounds for it. It's a Hollywood film. All the end times and dates, they're points of wisdom and time periods of wisdom. So to divorce wisdom from it, you'd be better off reading Harry Potter and getting a prophecy from that.
Again, this is Messiah Hour, the only, as far as I know, only show to discuss the Messiah concept from a Jewish perspective. There may be a couple others to talk about once in a while. But
Harry Potter prophecies.
Yes, Harry Potter practices. Okay, this comment is from Wanderer Buttonloss, which I don't think it's his real name, Rabbi, but that's the name on Facebook. He says a concept...
That's Lashon Hara.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, well, I hope he forgives me if he's listening.
Come on. Who are we to make fun of their names?
Yes, all right. Well, Wanderer, if you're listening, I apologize. But in any case, he made the comment, there's a Messiah born in every generation. If he doesn't come, then we're not worthy. Talk about that concept, right? There's also, if the temple's not built in our generation, it's like we burned it. So bring that up, I guess. If he doesn't come, maybe instead of blaming Rabbi Kamenetsky, we look all in the mirror and say, hey, we weren't worthy, that's why he didn't come. What would you say to that?
Again, another one of the Torah sources that needs the wisdom. This is all a part of the Torah of the Messiah concept, I guess. There's the four craftsmen, Mashiach and David, Mashiach and Yosef, Eliyahu, and the Kohen Tzedek as brought in Sukkah Nun Beis Amid Beis. Okay, that's one I like to quote a lot in my work, but in a different sense. There's beautiful ideas about Mashiach. Does he come on a donkey, or does he come from the clouds of Shemayim, right? All this stuff. It's great stuff. But context. You know, a Mashiach is born in every generation. I'll throw you the first curveball. Mashiach ben David or Mashiach ben Yosef? They'll say, oh, wait a minute. My Rav says we don't have to have Mashiach ben Yosef because he already came with the previous generation with Mashiach ben Yosef, and we don't have to have Mashiach ben David. Okay, you're already saying double talk to get out of it.
Wait, was that all English?
The point is, it's the same thing about the Messianic saying, well, since Yashka he was kosher, but the rabbis distorted. So we're going to say the rabbis must not have realized he must have been Mashiach ben Yosef, and they just have a thing against Mashiach ben Yosef. You don't be so simple and obvious. You know, I saw another video. There was like, the secret of Yashka, he was a rabbi. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Let's see where they're going to go with this. Which angle they want to take. He was a Kundalini yoga artist. Like, okay, please. Like, really? He was on the Midracho selling books for $5. So, you can make the obvious logical conclusions, and that's where you go wrong, right? To separate wisdom, you will come to fall on your face every time. So is there a Mashiach born in every generation? Yeah. Is it what you're thinking about? No. Is it a dogmatic, one-sided view? No. As far as the Vilna Gaon's concerned in Kulator, it's that concept is Mashiach ben Yosef, which appears in every generation, and if it doesn't bring and culminate to a full redemption, Mashiach ben Yosef must die. And then when it's the final redemption, Mashiach ben Yosef lives. And it turns into some kind of Mashiach ben David thing. That's why I say thing, because at that point, it's beyond scope and comprehension of this show and, anything under 5 years of scholarship. But they quote it like, there's some guy looking at his watch. They going to believe in me yet? What are these guys doing? I'm looking on Facebook. Are they going to believe in me yet? Oh, they didn't believe in me? Wow, I could have built the temple. It's just not like that. I'm sorry to burst anyone's bubble. I'm not saying there's not a Mashiach. There is. And it is more fantastic than you know. But please apply wisdom to it. You can't say Mashiach is an entity or time or an epoch without wisdom. Kabbalistically, the redemption is defined by a return of wisdom to life and society. So therefore, Messiah himself and the Messiah concept and the Messiah Torah/prophecies must be rich with wisdom. Otherwise, it's worth as much as a Zimbabwe dollar.
Again, this is the Messiah Hour here on Israel Sports News Radio. The Zimbabwe dollar is not worth that much. Also, the American dollar is apparently going down too. I don't know. I haven't followed so much. But in any case, we're taking more of people's comments based on my post on Facebook regarding Rabbi Kamenetsky's claim, if you will, that the Messiah will come by the end of this year on September 12th. Noam from Tel Aviv wrote, many rabbis also believe that Shabbatai Tzvi was Mashiach. I don't take rabbinic predictions too seriously. So is that what you're talking about, the whole grain of salt, or would you counter and say, but that was over 100 years ago, and we're actually in the end game at this point? So what would you say to Noam's comments?
Hey, lay off of Shabtai Tzvi. Stop it. Stop it. He was a tzaddik. Just kidding.
Right.
Everyone's got to bring the Shabtai Tzvi coming up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, hey, I was learning the Zohar. Hey, Shabtai Tzvi, we're gonna come to eat pig. What are you doing? So, all right. In reality, Shabtai Tzvi. Shabtai Tzvi did a lot of problems, okay? My work with the Ger, I have also a Shabtai Tzvi in my world. It's called Yeshu, right? Anytime you get close to the non-Jews, it's like, oh, what are you going to do, the next Yeshu? Then you say, well, no, take two. Next, well, I'm Zohar. Hey, Shabtai Tzvi. What are you doing? So, all these guys messed up a lot of stuff. Literally, Zohar is a 4-letter word to those people that fear Shabtai Tzvi. He gave a really big stigma, and the guy that paid the most price for it and maybe cost us the redemption itself was the Ramchal, right? He was maybe the most messianic, truly messianic in the kosher sense of bringing down Mashiach and David Torah, man of maybe all time. But because he was in such proximity to Shabtai Tzvi, it really messed up a lot of stuff. And the interesting thing is Mashiach represents kind of like your Ezekiel and King Solomon in that it challenges the norm, right? The book of Ezekiel actually says things that appear to be against the Torah, and the rabbis had to figure out what he meant in order to bring it back into our Tanakh. Okay? And so there's a lot of things that Mashiach represents that is not the party line. I mean, my work also, the Ger Toshav, is not party line Judaism, and people say there's no Ger Toshav today, which there actually is. So they would say, well, Rabbi Katz is bringing back things that don't exist, but it's not true, right? You just need to get the context of what it is. Mashiach will be that much greater, right? He's going to challenge your heart and soul by making you contemplate the truth of Torah. And so Shabtai Tzvi, understanding that aspect of Mashiach, he thought to do sins in order to say, like, hey, we can eat pig now. There's a midrash that says that pig will return to chew its cud in the time of the end. And since I'm Mashiach, there must be a time to eat pig. And it's now, hey, where's the Swiss cheese? Pass the Swiss cheese, please. And he did that kind of stuff. I think it was sexual stuff and eating. In the end, he converted to Islam. And that was the end of him. And it just put a very big paranoia into the Jewish people. The Ramchal paid the price. I don't know if we suffer so much of Shabtai Tzvi today, except for the people who want to say the Zohar is a phony, which the Zohar says it itself will be responsible for the redemption. So there's a lot of stigma around Mashiach, and that's part of what I believe the Mashiach challenge of coming to our consciousness is it has a lot of hurdles to clear, right? Well, there's a big movement to say the Zohar is false, and the Haredim have indoctrinated the Zohar, and the rationalists want to say, prove it. And if the Mashiach, let's say, is a Zohar type of mind, that's going to be a challenge. And there's all these little things that we've, let's just make this up hypothetically. Let's say Mashiach, his service to God has to do with bowing before Hashem. And the Jews used to bow. We used to bow in the temple.
Right, and we still do it on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. We go down to our knees on those days.
That's right. And then we say, why don't we do it every day?
Because we don't want to look like the Goyim, right?
Exactly. So there's a lot of things we don't want to look like the Goyim, right? The Goyim will say that a lot of a mikvah. This came up in a conversation with me the other day, right? There's an Inyan of getting like garum in a mikvah, not for the name of conversion. You get it from Naaman in the Tanakh. All right. So what happened? They started to franchise that out 2,000 years ago. Enter John the Baptist. So the Jews said, "Hey, we don't go to mikvahs," And the Breslovers are like, "But we do." Everyone's like, well, we don't. Right? We go once a year before Rosh Hashanah, and if you ask anybody, a rationalist, what's the point of a mikvah? They'll say it's like taking a bath with a rubber ducky. It accomplishes nothing. You have no tuma that you need to rid yourself. You're not a woman that needs it before, her reasons, right? So that's a huge spiritual boon that Breslov does a lot. It's part of their shita. It's Rabbi Nachman's klalim. Everybody else either does it as a minhag, a custom, a feel-good bath, but no one really does it like Naaman in the Tanakh, because when the Goyim started, we stopped. And let's just, I'm not saying this is true, but let's suppose that Mashiach, his whole thing is mikvah. Let's say it's a Rebbe Nachman thing. That'll make the non-Nachs listening happy, right? Let's just say mikvah is like the biggest thing. I don't agree with that, but let's just assume that the whole we don't do that is a challenge then for Mashiach there, right? If Zohar is like the thing, then it's a challenge. Mashiach is challenged by all the things that we don't do in a response to, basically, you can call it Shabtai Tzviism. All the things that he did in perversion are the things that Mashiach would do, thereby it constitutes a barrier. We then stop being Jews. Again, if we were supposed to be taking a mikvah, now we don't, that means we're not really being as Jewish as we can. I'm not saying the mikvah is the thing, but there is a thing out there that we should be doing and we don't. Mashiach would represent that, and therefore we cannot recognize Mashiach because part of our service is missing due to the perversions of Yeshu, Shabtai Tzvi, and such.
Again, this is the Messiah Hour here on Israel Sports and News Radio. Our guest is Rabbi David Katz, co-author of The World of the Ger. If you'd like to make a financial contribution to the program, go to my PayPal, IsraelSportsRadio@yahoo.com. Let's go to more comments. Talia from Jerusalem writes regarding Rabbi Kanetsky's quote-unquote prediction, if you made the prediction, about Mashiach coming on September 12th, by September 12th, saying it's an auspicious day. Now, you were talking about the 60-day thing ending on September 12th, correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? I find that very interesting.
No. Just
kidding. Okay. You don't have to. You don't want to.
For you, Ari, I want to.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
I want to.
Cool.
I don't have to, but I want to.
Right.
All right. No, there's a lot of great dates. If you remember when Bibi spoke in Congress, it was on Shushan Purim, right dev smack right there, right? And he conjured up the imagery of Esther and Mordechai. That was profound. And now the Congress has 60 days to respond to the Iranian deal. Now, Iran is a major player in our prophecies. The Iranian leader will destroy the world. The Saudi Arabian leader will go to Iran to America to complain about Iran. In Hebrew, it's pros in the West America, pros Iran. So Iran, long story short, is a major player in the authentic language of Jewish prophecy. Don't come back and say, well, Iran actually means Aryan. It doesn't mean what you're saying. No, Iran means pros, and pros is written about heavily in prophecy. Number 2, there's about the West. America, last I checked, is West. Number 3, Israel, is Yaakov is Yaakov. So we understand that. Therefore, we have 60 days of Congress lobbying, or us lobbying Congress to nix the deal. I wouldn't be surprised if you see Bibi again in the Congress. That would be amazing. I'm looking forward to that if it happens. You're going to see a lot of stuff. AIPAC is going to go to war. I'm excited about that. They're going to fight J Street. I'm excited about that. Sheldon Adelson might shell out some money. This has nothing to do with our radio show, Ari. I'm just going to throw this because it means nothing. Do you think that Edward Snowden and or Julian Assange is giving the WikiLeaks information to the Donald? That's why he's confident telling the truth about McCain and all these guys. I'm just going to throw that out. Think about that back to our regular scheduled broadcast. The auspicious date is the 60 days falls out on Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur. It's the holy day time period. And the exact day, I heard it was Rosh Hashanah. So if I'm wrong, then it's Yom Kippur, but it's one of those. And it's auspicious. The Vilna Gaon in his Kol HaTorah, Mashiach ben Yosef anthology is that the Geula literally starts on Rosh Hashanah. I mean, Rosh Hashanah is the time that the arousal or awakening happens. Not when the switch is flipped, not when we go out of Egypt with matzahs on our backs, but when you get, when you wake up in the morning at 6 a.m., right? You say you have a meeting for a job at 3 o'clock. Well, you wake up at 6, right? So this is like the 6 a.m. wake up call. He says Rosh Hashanah, the ram's horn, defeating the Satan, all these things, kicking up the dirt. That's Rosh Hashanah. We know that the world's judged on Rosh Hashanah. I mean, judgment is the thing. The Shefa that's going to come down is Rosh Hashanah. The leaders of the world, their Shefa is determined on Rosh Hashanah. You wouldn't have a better time for this to happen in Jewish spirituality aside from the auspicious date. So the fact that it is an auspicious date, it's another reason to watch, as much as the reason why the Mayan calendar was auspicious was because the Zohar lined up with that 2012 was the year ending in 72. So the years measured up, therefore there was a reason on the Jewish timeline to watch. So too with this Iranian deal, the players line up, the time lines up, the Indian lines up, it all lines up. I would actually call you a fool if you didn't watch with anticipation, but I would equally call you a fool if you watched with expectation.
Ah, very nice. Like they say about the Midrashim. You believe in all of them, you're a fool. You don't believe in any of them, you're of course. A couple more comments before we end the program. This is from Svi, who's currently from New York. Hopefully Israel will be his home very, very soon. He said, I don't think Iran can build nuclear weapons in 4 weeks, so more likely 8 to 12 months. He's saying that somewhat tongue-in-cheek, but you're talking about Iran. What if someone would counter and say, Iran can't build the weapons by Rosh Hashanah, so therefore it won't be by Rosh Hashanah, it'll have to be later. What would you say to that?
Okay.
That's the shortest answer you've ever given ever in history.
Yeah.
So that would just, okay, you just say okay.
Okay.
But, okay, can Mashiach come without Iran doing all this nuclear war on everybody?
Sure.
Okay. All right, well, we'll move on then to another comment. Of course, Zev Ben Yechiel, who's been on the show, a guest of mine, he said that, again, there were so many comments on my Facebook wall, so he said, all this banter is ridiculous. It reminds me of the type of theoretical discussions that happened while others were actually making history. So basically, Zev is making fun of my show and this conversation, saying this is a waste of time. We're not being productive. What would you say to that?
I just wrote an article in the London Tribune. Then there's a nusach missing in the tefillas of Rosh Chodesh Shabbos Musaf davening. That there's a nusach in the regular Shabbos Musaf. They don't include a Rosh Chodesh Shabbos Musaf. And the Aruch HaShulchan seems to be saying it's a printer's error. I refer you to my article in the London Tribune, which you can find on my Facebook wall for my answer about how the actual printer's error was not in the Nusach, but in the Yesh Omrim in parentheses found in Sfard Sidorim, missing from the Ashkenaz Sidorim.
All right. Well, all due respect, I don't get how that answered what I said. I don't get it.
Minuscule details with even more minuscule answers.
Okay, but I'm saying we can still have this discussion, right? It's not a waste of time.
I mean, this is what I'm saying. That people want to make discussions out of minute details that don't exist. You know, my friend Amnon always says, the smaller the Indian, the greater the fuss. That's my point.
Right, but I'm saying, but this conversation of if the Mashiach is coming by September 12th, that is a big thing. So therefore, I don't know if it's a waste of time to discuss it because we're talking about something very big.
Is it a waste of time to discuss it? I don't know. It's this is what I'm saying. By going that direction, it's already like explaining the joke. If you explain the joke, you didn't get it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay.
It's not the kind of thing to discuss. This is my point. Why I'm giving a bit facetious at this
point. But I'm saying we just discussed this for like 45 minutes. This is the show. We
discussed issues, but if like discussing inside the prat itself.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? Like once you say like, you know, can it be in the seventh? It's not meant for microanalyzation. That's my point. Once you go to microanalyze the situation, it becomes a yeshivish pilpul. That's why I give this little backwards roundabout drasha. Once you discuss it and analyze it, you've lost the Indian. It's no longer the thing.
So the discussion should be perhaps on what should be the focus then? More the issues in the time or what?
Yeah, exactly. Discuss the things that matter. Talk about, just talk about the thing itself. Talk about what is going on with Iran. What did Pollard represent? Could Israel actually pull this off? Is it in Israel's play with reality, right? Play with the cards of reality. Is Israel in position to do something? Is Obama actually, going to nix the deal through Congress? Right? Play with the cards of reality. All the time you sit and nitpick about, was Rav Kanievsky right about a random source that may or not be happening? That's not reality anymore. Right? You've gone into the micro fabric of reality that no one's discussing that. You see what I'm saying? This is the thing with the Mashiach Torah. Stay on topic. Right? Stay on the issue. Otherwise, don't talk about the issue at all. Because it's no longer the issue. You see what I'm saying? I'm being a bit tough.
Okay.
But that's how I feel about it.
So, if I understand, basically the issue is that Mashiach is coming, and maybe the nitpicking is saying that it has to be, let's say, September 12th versus a different date. What would be the nitpicking part?
About locking it into a date.
Okay.
That's exactly. You just hit the nail on the head, right? You're locking me into a date. Let's say I say, hey, everybody, Rav Kanievsky said that, you're saying, wait a minute, why September 12th? Why not like October 15th? Like you're locking me in. I don't want to go there. Let's just talk about the Indian. What's going on with Iran? It's a discussion versus you have to answer my question. See how it's like Din versus Rachamim there? See what I'm saying? Yeah.
Okay, I gotcha. Because it really pigeonholes us to say September 12th when it could be general time. We
Exactly.
see a lot of things going on right now.
It's focusing on the wrong Nakuda.
Okay. Right.
You said September 12th, but it's this and a lot of Bible criticism. I see this with my friends. There's a way of extrapolating Torah as a discussion, and you call it Yeshiva Shaklavataria, back and forth, creative mindset, or I make a statement and you challenge my statement. But okay, you have the right to do that, but that means that you've killed it. I cannot come back now. I said Mashiach comes on September 12th. You said, no, he doesn't. Okay, you win. I mean, what can I say? Yes, he does. You're going to say, no, he doesn't. I mean, but it doesn't have to be, a refutation type discussion. Just say like, well, what does September 12th represent? Now that's a good question. It's Rosh Hashanah. Okay, what does Rosh Hashanah have to do with Mashiach? The Don Guns. See what I'm saying? There's a creative buildup. Otherwise, it just knocks it down every time. You never get momentum, and it's a fruitless discussion. It's all dinim. Mashiach doesn't come in dinim, judgments and gevuras and stringencies. It comes in mercy. So even if it is a judgment time, we have to sweeten it for him to come, even in discussion, because you're not going to grasp the concept if it's not in a mindset of rachamim, mercy.
All right, this has been another episode of the Messiah Hour, and thank you everyone for all your comments. I think I've hit a gold mine of a new concept format for the show that I'm going to basically post an article. All of you guys write comments, and I'll just use that as the questions. It'll make my job easier, and it'll be more fun. So I think maybe, Rob, we could do that a couple more times in the future. What do you think?
Yeah, and it gets my my nudnik side,
Exactly. Again, this has been the Messiah Hour. My guest has been Rabbi David Katz, co-author of the book The World of the Ger. That book can be purchased on gergear.com. The rabbi also has a website called soulmazal.com, which can tell you more about your name and how it relates to your mazal. Rabbi, thank you for being on the program. Great job as always.
Thanks for having me. I just want to make one thing clear. Usually, as you guys know, I give not opinions, and I give the Torah sources and the answers and the emes. Today was an opinion show. I generally never give my opinions, but for you, Ari, it was fun, and the format was good for me too. It's always healthy to give a bit of my own personal opinions. So these are my opinions. I do stand by them. It's obviously different than my teaching style. I don't intend to be totally authoritative in this because by definition, it's subjective and it's my opinions. But for the sake of the show, it was fun for me, and I hope it was fun for everyone. They are my opinions. Feel free to argue with them and discuss them. I don't claim this to be Divrei Elokim Chaim. I intend it to be from my soul. I mean, I don't expect to be wrong, but I don't. It's not the same as when I give verses in the Torah itself. So it was fun for me. Thanks for having me back, as always.
Yes, indeed, and I'm sure people will make comments because most people listen are Jewish and they want to argue. So the show will be posted in the next few days. Feel free to comment. And for all the comments I did not get to in this particular episode, I do apologize. We'll try to get more of your comments in the future. If you'd like to make a financial contribution to the program, you can do so through my PayPal account, which is IsraelSportsRadio@yahoo.com. Again, IsraelSportsRadio@yahoo.com. Thank you, everyone, for listening. This has been another episode of the Messiah Hour here on IsraelSportsAndNewsRadio.com.